Hello, and thank you, Gilbert, for having me. Thank you very much for everyone across the globe. I'm excited to be here and presenting the technology. Aduro is a disruptive technology. And by me saying disruptive, it means that there is nothing, I think, we like it today in the market. It's a petrochemical based process, and it's been used and will be used by small and large organizations, and it offers an alternative to other technologies as we go forward. I welcome you to join me here in this presentation and listen a little bit to what we have been doing. And I'm excited to see maybe some of you making a decision and joining us as an candidate to investor. Before we start, of course, we are a public company. We only public a year from now, but we have our restricted way of process, and of course we have our forward-looking messages. I welcome you to read it if you need and make your own decisions about the statement that we will put. Everything that is here in the presentation is of course will be filed for your record and benefits. With that, let's start. And when we talk about Aduro, it is because the subject is a little bit more scientific based and it's hard to learn. I was thinking how to present the technology, and I think the best way to look at the technology that is disruptive is take a look maybe at the background of what we have been saying to our investors and what we perform. And I think that will come in our press release, so anyone who wants to interested. And B, if we are saying that we are disruptive technologies, it's important maybe to see what outside organization are telling us. We're still young in where we are. This is a recent article from the Forbes. We didn't pay for this, but this article will take you through a journey of one of our sectors in the plastic activity, and will show you what other people think of us externally. And I think going forward in the future, you'll see more of those articles coming in, because I think and truly believe we are providing a good alternative to what's going on in today's market. Hydrochemolytic technology is basically constructing or breaking down low heavy molecules. They're embedded in everywhere where we're going. They are in crude oil, low value crude oil. You make it better. Plastic, waste plastic, you have to do something in order to break it down in one way or the other and make higher value product. Renewable as well. We even cover processes that are not mentioned here, such as rubber tires and lubricant oils. We've been focusing in this presentation on our go-forward application that we mentioned and developed at this point of time. We are a company with rich IP. We develop about 7 patents, and there are more that will come in the next few years. And we have multiple applications that covers a lot of multi-billion-dollar market, quite a lot of them, based on what, the core technology that we've been doing. As I mentioned, it's important to say, what is it that we have been doing before in the past in order to satisfy the curiosity or the conditions of our investors. So we are after a third-party validation, so saying that this technology, it is from scientific perspective a disruptive and new and should be tested. And now we're moving forward and making this technology into a pilot scales. And on the way, we're hoping to bring more partners into the discussion, so they will help and join us to facilitate that. Basically, we have a very high interest with global engagement, crossover, and we have very strong, loyal management team that we brought into it. And to make it easy to our global interest, we develop a joint program, a small program where an organization will start coming in and will work with us on maybe smaller testing procedure. We will get paid for that for most of the times, but going forward, each one of those customers will transform into a large customer maybe, and hopefully that will develop into maybe a commercial site. And why would they do that? Basically, the technology has a lot of flexibility, and the technology is providing an output in a lower energy and in higher efficient. And this is important to the industries that where we are, where the petrochemical market is working on cents and differences of cents. and you may know it. So I will welcome you again to just read a little bit about the press release that we've been doing, and then looking forward about the way we will be acting and make a judgment based on that. As I mentioned, we have 3 core applications that we are working right now. The first, which is at the pilot state, it's of course the waste plastic application, where we will provide some different ways, very unique ways to break down waste plastics in different types of waste plastic and create oil that can later be used to produce new plastic. So circular economy, and we will do it in a very efficient way, and I'll show you some of those. Other applications that we're promoting right now is heavy oil, or changing the value of heavy oil through some kind of a chemical process. This is our chemical process. In this case, we're taking something that's worth, maybe I'll say $30 or $40 per barrel. We'll save close to 20-25% of that barrel, and we're changing it to be worth maybe $10-15 more. So there is a big gap. In the plastic side, I should say, we're taking something that's worth sometimes maybe $200 per ton, and we're making something that's worth maybe $1,000 per ton. And because we have a lot of flexibility, we can take something that's worth $600 per ton and even still be very profitable where we're doing it. And last, we have a very unique application in the renewable, which is more or less the same. We're transforming renewable oil into renewable fuel and specialty chemicals. Again, it's a very efficient system. And I think the commonality that you want to take away from this is the fact that we can do it in higher efficiency, the fact that we can do it in a lower carbon footprint, and we can also do it with organizations that work with us will benefit a lot from carbon credit. So we have multiple carbon credit because of the differences that we've been working. A lot of it, at the end of the day, will cause partners to engage us when they look at what we've been doing. And so that will be the mechanism that will drive the growth of the technology, just engaging partners and selling and licensing these technologies again and again and again. I'm a little bit going to focus a little bit about plastic recycling, because that seems to be the very hot topic and the environmental topic. Everyone speaks about plastic recycling across the world. It's a subject that really bothers many people and organizations. In this case, on the left, what you would see today when we're talking about mass processing of waste plastics, this is what today is the current process or current approach. We call it thermolysis. It is basically breaking down those hydrocarbon chains with heat. And when you break things down, you have less room to become very efficient, because you just inject heat and everything is really you create some issues. So those technologies are coming with some kind of chemical limitation that we solve. And because we solve them, we can do it in a higher efficiency. In the middle, you would see more of what we call more of a niche market. Those are solutions that are very, very effective. Maybe a certain polymer that responds to some type of polymer of a liquid. But it's a niche market. When we are talking about what we're trying to do, we're trying to cover and we're competing against whatever is out there. And sometimes we can even help those guys doing what we've been doing. And in the middle on the right, this is more of what we call the mechanical separation. So this is normally the initial stages of separating and sorting plastics. This may be a new topic to you guys. It's very, very important because many organizations are trying today just to collect and absorb this waste plastic and do something good with them. The chemolysis is really another leg, a fourth leg of the operation, and it can do some things a little bit better than what you see on the left side from the thermolysis. Saying all that, I think in the future we will also work with some of those guys. So we don't see them as a competitor. They may benefit from our services as they will move forward. But what does it mean for the audience? Maybe it means that we can do centralized local operations, just like the big boys are here. Here you can see guys that maybe inside this table there is a BASF or Dow Chemical, a very large organization. Aduro has the benefit because of the very high flexibility that the process has been doing to operate on small scale, so B2B. So we don't need to operate only in a large centralized location, but we can also work in a smaller scale, maybe with a manufacturer that's producing food packaging, for example. There is enough there normally for us to make something good. And now we're helping an organization to turn a cost center into a profit center. And we have different models to accommodate that. And also because we are doing a lot of, we have a lot of plastic flexibility or feedstock flexibility, we can work in different territories where maybe higher regulator environment is North America, where the the feedstock is really more expensive. But in Latin America and other areas of the region, the feedstock is less expensive because nobody's collected it. It's actually quite cheap. And for us, it's actually a good thing. We can use it and make even more money as we are operating. I turn you to this slide, where this slide shows a little bit about the efficiency that we've been doing. So if we will process this, in this case, it's called polyethylene, some gas will come out of it, some liquid will come out of it, and some solid will come out of it. The question is how much liquid is worth something that was not working before. In this case, there is about 90% of that liquid. Remember, it maybe was worth $0 or $200, and now it's worth closer to $1,000. And this is based on experiments that we've been doing recently, and that's 90% of it. Of the gases that we are producing, only 40% of those gases are CO2, so very, very efficient. In the total, it's about 2.4% of the total, and all the rest are gases that we can use to re-energize the system. So what does it mean to the investor? It means that we can take, there are organizations that will benefit from what we call carbon credit, because we can bring much more carbon credit into the back to the end of the customer, because we're operating at a low energy regime. We have small amount of CO2, and we are able to operate in a smaller scales almost anywhere, which means gives a lot of credit because you're, for example, minimize your transportation. So negative costs that are coming into the process. So those items are important to the organization that we are working with. In this case, this is a little bit a layout of how circularity, people are talking about plastic circularity. So what does it mean? In this case, it's a layout of how to make a polyethylene that is, it starts with a ethylene cracker and move on into some kind of a plastic into a bottles, and then it goes and end up in the process as a waste. When we meet this process and we break it down, you can make a new material out of it and closer to the 90% that we see, basically. So there goes the circularity, where you can make a new plastic again and again and again, and it is not very straightforward to our competitors. It's a little bit harder. This slide just to show you a little bit of the benefit that we can, that the technology brings to the customers. We see small train reactors. There'll be small to small businesses. 25 tons is the minimum that we are working, and you can see it's worth only $22 million. I say only because most of our competitors use that as a pilot. For us, it's a commercial unit. And then as we move forward, you just, if you have a larger project, you just add, 5 of those, 6 of those, 10 of those. And what you see here is the type of material that has a market value, so it's a regular market value. And we can sell that, and we can sell that in small scale project and a large scale project. I'll leave you a little bit with the numbers to look at how much we are earning, or we anticipate to earn versus our customers, but we're looking mainly at licensing. So in our calculations so far, we invested our time in considering a licensing technology. This is again a 3-case scenario where you see that we are processing maybe 8,000 tons or 25 tons per day, 8,000 tons a year, 75 tons per day, and maybe a very large operation, 225 tons per day. And you can see that there is a difference between the licensing and the build on. We are open for both licensing and build on operation, but we are really promoting right now the licensing. And you can see from here what is the gross margin that we look at and the payback. Those paybacks are really significant in where we are in our space, because normally petrochemical process, the payback is many, many years above the 6.5 years that we are doing. With the interest of time, I'll tell you that we will be opening different hubs going forward across the globe. Right now, we have received from the day we've been working or publishing last year till today, we received about over 13 or 14 different engagement across 7 different countries. And we think that we will open offices in those territories and let them to expand. We haven't incorporated those in our business models. What you see here in our business model speaks only about our Canadian operation, servicing only 12 projects. So to this day, we received about 13 or more than 13 organizations interested to work with us, but we were considering only 12 projects based on what we know. And what you can see here that, you know, somewhere between 2023 and 2024, we will start commissioning the commercial units. And sometimes in the 2025, you see the buildup of those units bringing and generating revenue. And at this point of time, the revenue is based on mainly on licensing. We only have one owned unit because we think the market will respond well to a licensing. Most of the organization that we are talking to owns their waste plastic right now. So they want less with us and more into, you know, taking more of the benefit of just running the operation. This is just a short slide to show you the share structure. We're now $34 million. I think it's 70 cents right now. Very tight share structure. Just to give you an idea, in the last a year, one of our commitment to the investors, we put 66% of our owning on the shelf, and we agreed to release them based on our milestones. We just completed the first milestone and we brought back 33% of that. And we are looking into completing our second milestone and release the other shares. But overall, you can see that this is a very tight share structure and the company has a lot of potential to move upwards. And for the investors, I would engage or recommend to look at in the coming news of who is joining us in this journey from, you know, the large organizations that are interested in what we've been doing. And that maybe gives you a signal of, is this a good or not investment to make, maybe. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much. And with the interest of time, I'll just open the stage for some questions.
Thank you, Ofer. Let's put on some questions here. The first one from John here. He said, what would be a typical pilot time and what is your model for revenue sharing there?
Oh, this is an excellent question. So we see less than 18 months for a pilot. And just to John's discussion, normally people think about pilot as large, you know, operation. For us, pilot will be 3 or 4 tons a day. Remember, it's only need to scale to 25 to become commercial, and later we will fund projects. That's kind of the idea. Right now, we're promoting mostly licensing, and so far the market was respond in a good way for licensing. Because some companies, we have some Fortune 500 companies that are interested in, you know, just doing some of their own, they're less interested in us. And we have small organizations that may need help, but more of a guidance and technology help. So still licensing is appropriate.
Great. Next one is pretty interesting from Oscar. He says, now the market is coming out with new materials to replace materials like polyethylene. So in a few years' time, do we still need to recycle them?
Yeah, that's another question. So just to be clear, the plastic market that is recycled contains of many variety of plastic. Most of the recycled material is actually plastic bottles, which contain from PET. The material that the market is challenging, really find it challenging to break is polyethylene, polystyrene, and polypropylene. So we can do all of that. So most of the organization cannot do all of them. And I don't think in the future that this will go away. There is a vast amount of quantities all over the world. This is a fossil fuel product that was left there out there. Nobody collected it for many, many years. The market, just the US market is estimated, I think next year as something as 60 or 70 billion per year, just to give you an idea. So it doesn't go away. I think also that the new material, as you're speaking about the going forward, maybe 10 years, 15 years, the new material that will come in will also be required for some recycle that I think we can bring solutions, but it will be maybe easier if you think of it. Right now, we're just in the worst case scenario, and there was very little alternative to do what the organization has been doing. Being Aduro, being a destructive, we offer now possibilities that not have been available before.
The next one from Blair. So does it take a long time to get from your initial ideas into now to commercialization, the whole process? Does it take a long time?
Oh, so very good questions. It took us more than 10 years to develop the concept. And the reason it took us more than 10 years because the technology in a way was hiding beneath a certain aspect, chemical aspect. And so we were hiding in lab. We didn't have a website for more than 10 years. You couldn't even hear of us before we become public, because we had to build up our case studies for the renewable, the plastics, and the heavy oil. And once we understood it, could confirm that in terms of the intellectual property, then we decide to come public. So actually, you as an investors are coming and benefiting all of these 10, 15 years almost in the making. The company is public only 12 months, and the company has a website only for 12 months, not before. Nobody ever knew about what we've been doing. And in the last, I'll say 2 months, we received inquiries from some of the largest organizations in the world. So they were not even being aware of what we've been doing before that. This is what makes the company so exciting. You know, as we will move forward, and you'll see the news that are coming, which I hope, you know, you'll see some of them quite soon. You will see that the technology is being assessed by large organizations, and they are interested in see, you know, how far we can develop it.
Great. Thank you, Ofer, for answering all the questions here from the audience.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward of you guys joining in. Thank you very much for the trust.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.